favorite book was The Hungry Caterpillar. Except the only problem is that book wasn't written until after he was out of college. So he still doesn't get the plot, and he's waiting for them to make a movie about it so he can watch that. But yes, that's quote, direct quote, and I just couldn't pass that one up. And another thing you should know, that several weeks before the September 11th attack, the leaders of the Taliban visited Bush in his Texas ranch.
It was in the news.
Was it?
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
And he gave them $30 million a day. Now, what's up with that ranch anyway? Why do all world leaders all of a sudden have to visit him in the Texas ranch? Perhaps it has a nicer ceremonial ritual room than the White House does. Now, I received information from somebody I know in Texas and Austin just a couple of days ago, and I can't tell you how they found out about it, but I know that it's good information. And they said they know of workers, Mexican workers, who were 7 levels underneath the ranch working on construction. That is connected way down into those tunnel systems that crisscross the earth. What happened on September 11th that they admitted first time on the news? When I first started coming here and going other places, I told everyone that the earth is crisscrossed with tunnels and that there are many underground bases all over North America as well as in other parts of the world. And I also said to you that West Virginia was practically hollow underneath and that the largest city in the world is located under West Virginia. Well, lo and behold, that afternoon of September 11th, when Bush was being taken away in security, they announced on CNN that he will probably be going to the base underground in West Virginia. First time I almost fell off my seat when I heard that. Only said it once. Then they said just a few weeks ago, guess what? We have a shadow government. Now, I've been using that term for a long time, so have other people, and everyone said, how ridiculous is that? Well, now they admitted it. But they admitted it in such a way that everyone said, oh, thank God there's a shadow government, because if they blow up Washington, at least there'll be people living under the ground somewhere that will be running the place. So thank God that there's a shadow government. That's how brilliant, actually, how they release the information in a way that you're so grateful that it's so. They'll be able to cut your head off and you write them a thank you letter. There's a country and western song that says, they're billing me for killing me. And it's the truth. And so, they're admitting all these things step by step. It happens that your Vice President Dick Cheney owns a corporation that builds pipelines. And the pipeline that he wanted to build goes across Afghanistan and goes all the way to Turkey and brings oil from other parts of the Middle East. So he has a lot to gain by occupying that area. Also about Dick Cheney. Well, a couple of things. Some of you may have read a book by a former sex slave who wrote a book called Transformation of America. Trance, T-R-A-N-C-E, Formation of America. Have you read that book or heard of it? And she wrote in there that Dick Cheney was one of her handlers or controllers, and that he was quite an evil man. Now, a while ago, a few years ago, I had done a lecture in Denver at the Global Sciences, and I happened to meet the wife of one of the state senators of Wyoming, where Dick Cheney is from. And she told me she knows Dick Cheney personally. He's come to her house. She's had dinner with, he's friends with her husband, and she said he's a horrible, horrible man. And she said if anybody knew what was going on underneath Wyoming, they just would not be able to believe it. And that came from the senator's wife, who's, by the way, just wrote to me before I came here. So I haven't opened that email yet. And so, it has a lot to do also with the Denver airport. How many of you have been there, the new Denver airport? Not too many of you. The old Denver airport was quite nice. It was near town. Then they closed it up, And they built a new one 50 miles away, but only one road to get to it. And you can only get in if they scan your license plate coming in and out. And the runways are set up in the form of swastikas. And in the stained glass windows are swastikas. And the whole thing is designed like a tent. It looks like a tent, this gigantic tent in the middle of nowhere. And when you get out of the gate, when you leave your aircraft, and you're on the floor is embedded little reptilian creatures in the tile. How many of you saw that? And there's words written, strange words in a strange language. And people think it's Indian language, but no Indian language that we know of. Nobody knows what they mean. And there's a big plaque in front of in the airport that says, dedicated to the people of Denver by the New World Airport Society. Now, at baggage claim 17, there is a mural about the size of this wall, and on that mural is a picture of a black woman, a Hispanic woman, a Jewish woman, an Oriental woman, and an Indian woman lying dead in their coffins, holding dead babies. And standing above them with a sword in lederhosen is a little blonde boy with blue eyes. You could go see it. There's a picture of it here, but it's very small. It's very small. I'll try to find that for you. But it's right there in the open. Yeah, you can see, I don't know if you can see, they took little pieces of it. You can come up later and look at it. But it's, yeah, here's the women lying in their coffins. And there's a little boy with the sword. A blonde boy. And, oh yes, there's also a picture of a skull, a man in a Nazi war suit and a skull with a sword trying to kill people. This is at the airport, while you're getting your luggage. Yeah, very pleasant.
So what's the subliminal messages behind that?
The subliminal, and here's another thing though. There's enough concrete underneath the new Denver airport to build a 6-lane highway from Denver to Chicago. Nobody knows why. And all the workers that built the underground have been sent elsewhere. They're not to be found. Long story there, but I can't go into that whole thing. It's a holding pen. In this country are 5 gigantic concentration camps, particularly in the western United States and in some parts of Canada. Each one is capable of holding up to 5 million people. In their estimation, they expect up to 25 million dissidents who need to be re-educated. And outside of Phoenix is a gigantic camp that contains crematorium. And outside of Portland, Oregon is a crematorium holding center, brand new, unused. In 1997, the Government Accounting Office ordered 200 million body bags. Well, I don't know why. They also ordered the building of 240,000 train cars, each capable of holding 40 people in restraints. That's ordered, and also being built in Portland, Oregon. You can look this up on the internet. They have a list of all the Government Accounting Office orders in the last few years. GAO. And look, yes, and look at .org, and look it up.
GAO.org.
Mm-hmm. You will also see in there, if you want, you can look up all of the federal executive orders that have been signed in the last 25 years. Every president in the last 25 years has signed executive orders giving away all American civil rights to jurisdiction of the United Nations. It's on there, you can look it up. And in fact, in all federal or national reserves, or like Yellowstone and Mount Rushmore, it no longer is a federal or American site. Now it says it is a global recreation site under jurisdiction of the United Nations. And so this is happening. One of my clients in Arizona, who again I cannot name, but who's quite an interesting character.